What up, people? Push Wild Black here with Push Wild Black Sports. And I gotta do a quick impromptu vlog because Dez Bryant got cut today. And this might be a part one or a version one, just because I want to give my quick thoughts on this. And then I might have to get Mignon Garrett from the Rant Sport and Fitness on another video, just to get his opinion about this on air, because we actually had a really good discussion about this. I wish I was able to bring that one to you guys, because we got in depth with a bunch of stuff. Okay, real quick though, Cowboy Nation, it's okay. Like, don't calm down, because I know everybody's mad and everybody's in shock, because my brother is a big Cowboy fan, and he was mad and in shock, and Mignon was not surprised, but still kind of like, this still sucks. So everybody calm down. Everything is fine. Cowboy fans, the team actually got better, because quite honestly, you don't have to placate to anybody anymore. For 3 years, I've been saying that this channel started, the sports part of this channel at least, this channel started basically on NBA and Cowboys vids after every game, or after every game that I could. So I feel it necessary to speak on this and to be a Cowboy observer and not necessarily a fan. The team got better. For 3 years, I've been saying that the Cowboys need to move Dez Bryant around. Not move him away from the team, but to move him around. To him going down the field, to being the main guy, being the main receiver, and not being able to catch the ball and not being able to get separation, you know, and the first year that I was saying this was the year that Tony Romo got hurt, and they had Brandon Whedon, and I can't think of the dude's name right now, but he was the backup to Brady, and his backup to Brady. He had one good season when Brady got hurt, and I think they went like 15 and something. New England did, or 13 and something, I'm not sure. He gets to the Cowboys and he couldn't throw the ball, and I cannot think of this dude's name for nothing. Help me out, whoever, whether it's the comments or whether it's where I share this, help me out with the name. But they didn't move Dez around then. Dez is your best offensive weapon, and with, you know, basic arms, guys that are not even in the league anymore, or in Brandon Whedon's case, shouldn't be in the league, they couldn't move him around. They couldn't utilize him better. And they didn't utilize him better when Dak Prescott was a starter, and it was apparent that Dak was not a guy to throw the ball up in the air and ask your receiver to go get it. And really, you know, like every time, every route Dez ran, he was contested. And Dak's not gonna ask him to challenge Dak's not gonna ask him to go up and get it and challenge the defense all the time like Romo did. Romo made Dez Bryant, because Romo threw Dez open a lot. And Romo made Dez take chances up in the air, and Dez was able to. There were some catches where Dez Bryant caught passes, and it was covered, double coverage. I think he had a triple coverage catch in there once. Like, Tony Romo made Dez. Dak Prescott isn't that type of quarterback. So, and they haven't had that type of quarterback consistently in 3 years. So when I hear Dez talk about how the coaching staff, when he blames the coaching staff for this situation, he kind of has a point, because you're making a point not to you're making a point not to really make him comfortable in an offense that is changing. And because you're not making a point to make him comfortable in an offense that's changing, and Dak Prescott is more of a, okay, whoever's open, let me go through my progression, and whoever's open gets the ball. And then I'm going to run the ball a bunch of times when Ezekiel Elliott's healthy and not dealing with personal issues, and Dez gets upset about that. I totally understand why the Cowboys are like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to cut him. Now, there's been some differing reports about whether or not they offered him a pay cut or they didn't. It's been my understanding that the Cowboys have always wanted him to do a pay cut. That's been going on through the media and just with people that I know. It has always been understood that Dez Bryant was going to be asked to take a pay cut. And it was always understood that Dez Bryant was never going to take a pay cut. So when Dez says, and other people are saying, that Jerry didn't even offer him a pay cut, that they basically just said, okay, we're going to cut you, I can understand why Dez Bryant is upset. I can understand why Dez Bryant thinks this is personal. And quite honestly, it might be, but it might be for the better. So what's going to happen is they have, and I can't think of the dude's name, which is why I wanted Jan Garrett to be on here with me. But they have some young receivers, one of which they really like. They have a tendency to find receivers. I know people are saying it's a real thin receiver draft. But Cowboys have a tendency to find guys from smaller schools, and they have a tendency to find guys through free agency. So I think they'll be fine. I just do. I do want to say this. I don't want to hear, because this has been a narrative that I've heard today. And the whole, well, this is something that the Cowboys do. The Cowboys cut emotional, passionate receivers that are outspoken. Nah, the Cowboys cut, because they were talking about T.O. Dez Bryant was declining for 3 years. Toward the end of T.O.'s career, T.O. couldn't catch a ball. He couldn't catch a ball with super glue slathered on his hands. That dude could not catch. He dropped passes, and he's outspoken, and there's other issues there. So the idea that this is what the Cowboys do, no, this is what the Cowboys do when you're not producing. And Dez has had some issues. And then when you have a young quarterback and you have a young receiving core, and you already lost a receiver because Dez got comfortable with I think first name was Bryce Butler, I'm not sure. But when Dez got comfortable with him, and there's a connection with him, and he's like, okay, I'm better than Dez, now, and Butler's gone because he went on this pay me or I'm not coming back tour within the media, and that turned off people the wrong way. That turned people off the wrong way. So when you have young receivers, and you have a young receiving core, and then Dez is when he's not getting his touches, he's not happy and he's not satisfied, and you see things, and then you hear stories that this may be sleeping in the locker room, and this isn't helping in the locker room, and it's like you have all this young talent around you. They're not dealing with that, especially with Ezekiel Elliott. Hopefully everything is fine and he doesn't have any issues, although, as my brother said, today that he might be cut next if he doesn't get his act together. But he's 22. He's 21, 22. So, we got a couple of more years of him being a knucklehead as long as he can produce and he doesn't get in any trouble or get arrested or get suspended. So this was a situation where they're giving the keys to Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott and see what you can do. So you can get a young receiver, you can get a younger receiver, you can get a developmental receiver. Dallas will be fine. It's still Dallas. Dallas is still the second place, even with Dez leaving. I don't trust the Giants. They don't even know if they're going to draft a quarterback or not. They don't know if Eli's going to stay. They don't. If Eli does stay and he is a starter, you don't know if Eli Manning's going to be good Eli or bad Eli. So I don't trust the Giants. I'm sorry. Alex Smith is nice, but to think that you're going to get from a talent level, to think that you're going to get a more talented quarterback in Alex Smith versus Kirk Cousins, because there's one of the top teams that NFL Network says that Dez could go to is the Redskins. Okay, if he goes to the Redskins, then do you trust that Alex Smith is going to get Dez the ball? And do you trust if Alex Smith does give Dez the ball, if that's going to necessarily mean a dominant season by him? I don't trust, and that's even saying if they're going to go out and get Dez Bryant, because I don't know if that's going to happen. On paper right now, I don't trust New York. On paper right now, I don't trust Washington at all. And Philly won the Super Bowl. You weren't beating Philly with Dez Bryant. If they finish 9-7, because people were saying this is going to be a 9-7, 8-8 team. Okay, if everybody's healthy and no one's suspended, it's going to be 10-6 with the defense. And you're not going to win a division anyway unless something drastic happens with Philly or they have a bad year. It's still Philly and Cowboys division. It's their division. So if you finish 10-6, Cowboy fans, and you fight for a wild card, does it matter if Dez is there or not? You have your running game, you have your defense, and you have a receiving core. Unless you get Odell Beckham or something, and even then, if you get Odell Beckham and he's healthy, that's an upgrade from Dez anyway. And I'm not even saying that's going to happen. On paper, right now, if they leave the receiving core stand packed, you're still second in the division, and you're a good enough team with everybody healthy and no distractions. You're still a good enough team to fight for a wild card position. Like, you just are. So Dallas will be fine. And I also want to say that I need Dallas fans, because depending on where Dez Bryant goes, it can be really bad for Dez and it can be really good for Dez. For example, I don't want to see Dez Bryant here for the Bears. I don't think it'll be a good fit. Offensive-wise, I don't think it'll be a good fit. I also don't think it'll be a good fit because when former Cowboys come to the Bears as players, it has been my experience that they forget how to play football. And usually when it happens, it's either when, for the Marion Barber situation, they ran Marion Barber into the ground. They didn't want to pay him. He comes to Chicago. They don't really know how to use him in Chicago. He doesn't have a good career here. Roy Williams. Roy Williams couldn't catch in Detroit. He'd go to Dallas. He couldn't catch in Dallas. For some reason, he goes to the Bears. For some reason, the Bears think that they can unlock the greatness that is Roy Williams, and he couldn't catch as a Bear either. He was bad here. was worse here. So I don't want to see Dez here. The team is young. The coaching staff is young. The GM is young. Everybody in this mug is young. Everybody. I don't want to see that volatility here. If he does show up here, I hope that he makes my team better. Okay? And I hope he isn't too emotional to the point that it becomes a distraction. And I hope that he can be successful here. Me personally, I think him coming here is a mistake. To any Bears fan that listens to this, I don't want Dez Bryant here at all. There's no reason for him to be here. This team needs to be young, and they need to stay young, and they need to develop together. I don't need a 28-year-old, 29-year-old dude on a downswing of his career coming in here demanding to be the number one guy, and then if he doesn't get his way because of how the offense is, because that's what happened in Dallas, it's going to be a problem. But my point to this is, it can be really bad. Like if he goes to Detroit, which I don't want him to be anywhere near the NFC North at all. Again, it's going to be Matthew Stafford and Dez Bryant show, and Dez Bryant is going to be asked to do a bunch of silly stuff, wide receiver wise, and you can end up getting Dez hurt, or it's not going to look good, and you're really going to see Dez decline. If he goes somewhere like the Saints, if he goes somewhere like the Cardinals, if he goes somewhere with an established receiving core, heck, if he goes to the Patriots and he buys into the Belichick way, and he has a 1 to 2 good years, and Brady has this fountain of youth type season like he did with Moss, then I need Cowboy fans to understand that's cool. Be happy for Dez. Just realize that if Dez goes to the right place, you may see him snap off. You may see him see him put in a career year. It doesn't matter to Cowboys though, because it wouldn't have worked here anymore. If you paid attention to anything in the last 2 years, it wasn't gonna work. And all he was doing was being upset on the sidelines. And he was in a decline, and there's really no reason for you to offer him an exorbitant amount of money just because he's Dez Bryant. So, Cowboy fans, it's okay. It's cool. I wish him well. I actually want Dez to do very well. I like his passion. I like his emotion. I think emotional guys, if it's not channeled correctly, I think emotional guys can get misunderstood a lot. So, and I think that's what happened with Dez. I think he's an emotional guy. I think he really, because I honestly believe he didn't want to leave Dallas. When he says he wanted to retire a Cowboy, I honestly believe that. He didn't want to leave Dallas, but it's like, man, if you're not gonna put him in a situation where he can be successful, if you're no longer gonna put him in a situation where he can be successful, then and it's not working, and then they just decide to cut him, apparently, then it wasn't gonna work, man. So you just be happy for Dez wherever he lands, and hope that he doesn't go to your rival or something. Although I think if he goes to the Redskins, I think Dallas can still beat Washington even with Dez Bryant on the Redskins. So I'm sorry, I just don't trust. I don't trust the Redskins. I don't, and I think that if Kirk Cousins is more talented as far as skill set than Alex Smith is. Alex Smith is smarter than Kirk Cousins, and his football decisions are going to be better. But if they ask him to do too much, then it's still the Cowboys' division if something goes wrong to Philly. So anyway, that's my thoughts about the whole situation. Everything is fine. And I will see y'all guys tomorrow when I start doing NBA playoff stuff. So anyway, push ball black out. Later.